I might have said when I introduced that moment of peace that was with John Roger, who we love so much, and he is the founder of MSIA, the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness, and he brought forward these teachings which are founded in love. And speaking of love, it is accompanied by the screen. No, the love in my heart welcomes up John Morton, who is the spiritual director of the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness. He's written a number of books. He's our beloved. He shows up, goes all over the world, lifting us into our souls. So, John, we love you. Whoa, I'm shaking from the loving.
Don't go too far. Thank you. So there are some things I'm going to say for us new people. So just get your newness out so you can hear this. Everybody's got some newness. This work is very much founded and established by John Roger, and we got to hear from him, especially what he's been saying all these many years about loving. And I wanted to let you know and personally invite you to come on by for our annual conference we've been doing for, well, what Steed was saying, for a while now. So this year we're doing a very, very special celebration of the mystical traveler, and that is the consciousness that John Roger introduced to us in his way. Obviously, what we're working with is nothing really new. It's along the lines of how old is eternal and what's always been. And we're still getting to know this consciousness of the beloved, the consciousness of our soul, of our spiritual nature. There are a lot of aspects, I'm sure, to our lives individually, but also together on the planet, and I mean that for everyone and everything, and that it's all working through love. This is not really a new idea. Places like the Bible where it says, God is love, and he that dwells in love dwells in God, and God in him. It's a very beautiful way of relating to what we're getting at tonight, that it's in the air, it's in the water, it's in the soil, it's in all the elements, it's in all the creation, and it is the core of the creation. This is a quote from the book that Lee was holding up earlier, from John Roger. On page 3, John Roger tells us, love is the essence of all creation, the glue that holds everything in its place. Hopefully it's dry now, so hold, maybe it's been a little bit in the drying process, so that would explain a thing or two about what's been going on in our life that hasn't been easy or not to our liking. So let's just consider that the glue is coming into place. I heard that in one of the moments there from John Roger earlier, that we're being called into our choosing and our choosing back, and that the core of that is loving. So we have a dedication tonight in relation to that. This glue that holds everything in its place in relation to all other parts, that allows it all to function. So love is what makes it work and what makes it breathe, what makes it alive. Everything is a manifestation of love, and loving is about the closest term for the energy of spirit. Loving is a process that happens inside you through the grace of spirit and by your own ability to be in touch with the God within. So we're going to be going for that tonight. We're going to keep breathing it in. Since it's in the air, might as well. So breathe deep, breathe often. not too often, because sometimes we're still learning how to handle all that love that's in our midst. There's another quote that I wanted to share with you right away. This too is from the book. This is the age of living love, and it manifests each time you enter into the love of the spiritual heart. The message of this age is that God's love is manifest here and now with each person. When love is manifested and precipitated down, accepted and expressed, there is no more to be done. So let's consider we have a job to do, a responsibility, in order to fulfill what we've been all called forward to do. And it's a really great way for those of you who are new to introduce you to what we're doing in the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness, this organization that John Roger founded a while back, and that a lot of us around the world, so that's on, I'm sure, on various continents tonight, people are tuned in. It's been that way all along. So this movement's been going around and around, and sometimes that seems a bit odd, that doesn't seem to hold up in one place, like, well, you know, where is it and when is it? It's like it's on the move. So that's been John Roger's life, as many of you know. It's certainly my life, and following in the succession, and I'm glad that more people are coming forward to do your part, so that we're making love be what makes the world go around. And love is what the world needs. So if we just simplify all this, I think it makes it better. And of course, what I'm sure we've all discovered is we need to do it ourselves. That if we try to rely on somebody else, and hopefully we've all experienced beautiful, loving people in our lives. And even if someone would say, well, I haven't met one yet, I would like to let you know that they're around. They're here. I see them. So I see them, that there are loving, beautiful people present. Maybe we're forgetting that aspect of who we are at times, and we need to be reminded. So may we have those around us that are beautiful reflections of our loving nature. And what I like to tell my children is, even if I let you down, or your mom or anybody else lets you down, that you have the loving inside of you. So you don't need it from anybody else. We all want it, but we have the love we need inside. So one of the opportunities that we all have is to make it a bigger love. Make it a greater love. Make it a love that emanates from now on, that we could, I like this when this happens, because something like gets transmitted into my mind at times while I'm on my track, and then it's like, tell them this. So here it goes. It's kind of like if love was in the ignition stage, you know, the part where you hit the ignition and it's turning over, and it catches. So when it catches, then the engine is revolving and it's ready to go. So it has the power. So let's consider that we can ignite the love in such a way as that it sustains. And if that seems like a far-fetched idea, then I invite your imagination to come forward now, so that you can imagine that you can be loving always, in all ways. That's something that some time back there John Roger introduced. And I have a license plate where it says love in always, always in love. And it's something that we go towards and we focus upon in MSI, and so we're going to do that tonight. Is anybody ready to step it up a bit? Okay. So even though this event is referred to, I don't think it was referred to as a workshop, it was a class. Okay. Well, you're in class, it's in session, and shall we test you? Well, no. But maybe we'll do some inquiry tonight. We're going to be doing a process a little bit later where you'll have the opportunity to partner up with somebody and each reflect upon the level of loving that's present for you and maybe some of the things that seem to interfere or restrict the loving, and then where you want to take the loving and how you want to experience the loving more. So that's what's coming up. We also have some keys of loving. Again, these are from the Living Love book, so if you want to get a hold of the book, it's available through our products department, and you can order it online, msia.org. So I'm just giving you that information if you want that book. Okay, here we go. One other thing about the invitation to the conference is maybe somebody knows the date, but it's on the Wednesday evening of the conference, the first Wednesday in July. 3rd? Okay, so I'm going to be facilitating a Communicating Living Love workshop. So we're going to be doing more of this work at the conference, and there's aspects of it that I want to share with you, and part of it is I'm going to take a moment when John Roger sings "I'm going to love more this day," if you know that song. I'm going to give more for more than I take. I'm going to live more for the sake of living love. So we're going to work with that, and we're also going to work with what John Roger shared as his affirmation. Anybody here done Insight seminars? Maybe you remember in Insight 2, we work with an affirmation. Insight Seminars is alive and well, by the way. It's one of the organizations that John Roger founded in 1978. So if you're interested, it's active. I'm actually going to be leaving the day after tomorrow for Bulgaria to join the Insight 4 that they're doing in Sofia, Bulgaria. There's still time to make it if you want to do your Insight 4 in Bulgaria. But John Roger shared with us that he said, I communicate living love. And in my experience, he's been not only demonstrating that, he's been teaching that and leading us to do that ourselves. So we're going to hold a workshop where we focus on that. We're also going to be working with the law of empathy, which John Roger introduced, and that became the Anai Hu chant that we did a little bit earlier tonight as a way of invoking empathy. So there's much more going on at the conference. So there's going to be a gala celebration about the mystical traveler and what it's been doing for about 50 years with John Roger and about 25 with myself. So we're going to focus on that. There's a workshop on the Friday and the Saturday of that week that you're invited to, and it's available online. So if you want to participate, and it's all about living love. So there we go. We have some keys here that we'll start looking at from the book, and I'm sure there are probably 1,000 keys, but we're going to focus on, I think, about 7 of them. Did I have that right? There may be more. They're multiplying as I stand here, so who knows how many there will be by the time we do the work. So the first key is living in love. Let love be your guide, your breath, and your life. And I think it might be on your piece of paper. Okay. Maybe somebody can get me, thanks. Let's just go along with you. Yes, it's A. So there you have, and I think online this is available to you as well. And again, we'll refer from what John Roger has shared with us. God's name is living love. These are the actions of love. Increase your light, continue your development, be a joy to everyone you see, lift yourself continually, do everything with your attention on getting a smile. That's fun. Practice. That's one of the things that John Roger shared with me, that he used to go in front of a mirror and practice smiling, and he said, you could use that practice. So I'm just reminding myself, now, do everything with your attention on getting a smile on your face and love in your eyes. You know, so that there's some place, let's say even in your brain, maybe it's right near the pineal gland, and you get, touch that love, like tap it and go, let's get the loving going, and get it going out through your eyes. Look at everything through love. The second key, taking care of yourself. Living love is loving yourself first. It's like, if you want to give love, what do you have in order to give it? What do you need? You need that love. So source your loving. It's not about something like vanity. That's more like love your glamour or your image or something like that. This is about being and loving so that it overflows and everybody around you is receiving the radiation, the transmission of your love. Here's John Rogers' quote. There is nothing wrong with being selfish. Eating and getting proper rest are selfish for the body. Thinking nice thoughts is selfish for the mind. Feeling good is selfish for the emotions. And doing spiritual exercises to rouse the soul that may be sleeping is selfish for the spirit. Those are all healthy activities. So if you're looking for something to do, here you go. You have something to do every day from now on. Here's the third key. C, loving it all. Enough love will handle all things. It's been also said as love conquers all. And I think sometimes we're tempted to doubt that. That, I've heard people say loving is a fantasy, it's a delusion, it's only for the fools. Yeah. And eventually we'll find out it really doesn't exist or something like that. Bah humbug. So one of the things that I remember hearing first from John Roger is loving is a decision. So who has the power to make that decision? We each do. Maybe that's never occurred to you. I think at the time when I heard it, I didn't think of love that way. I thought it happens to you, or you fall into it, or something like that. Or somebody hits you over the head, or Cupid smacks you with his wand or something like that. Oh, I guess it was the arrow, yeah. But maybe he's progressed and now he uses a wand. Everybody gets to grow. So it's important that we make a decision which also then becomes a commitment. That commitment can become a devotion, a dedication, a consecration. Those of you who are initiates, those are your themes leading into liberation, so that it becomes something that you're freely loving, fully loving. Here's John Roger. The key to breaking free is to love yourself and to love each experience that comes to you. Here's the clincher, this next part. Whether it appears to be negative or positive, you love it anyway. Love all equally, love it all, own it all, and you will be free. That was easy. Loving is easy breezy. I just kind of made that up on the spot. I'm throwing it in. Of course, when you do it, that's the key. The fourth key, loving communication. Here's John Roger. Love is the only channel for clear communication, and the quality of loving communicates for more than words. Follow the direction of spirit, which will be towards honest and open communication, brought forward with great love and great gentleness. Now that matches my experience of love. It doesn't mean it always feels good or I always agree with it, but that's a personal opportunity to shift. When I've experienced the power of love, the fullness of love, this is very clear that it resonates with what John Roger's sharing with us. The fifth key, oneness with others. Here's John Roger. When you are attuned to spirit and are experiencing the love of spirit, the negativity of others does not matter. There is love and forgiveness for everything and everyone. So maybe you could say, judgment, upset, is none of my business. My business is loving. So that could be part of your decision, is make a commitment that you're going to be loving, you're going to be more loving. You're going to love more this day. Start there. Start right now. The day's not over. So even if it feels like you went into some kind of pit today, you can start loving right where you are, and you came to the right place. Here's the sixth key, loving service. Loving is the most important quality you can nurture in yourself in the midst of all apparent conflict and stupidity in this world. You can still love. Now, maybe at times you didn't think so. I've had those moments. It just seemed like, how can anyone love this? We can, and it's a service. So it isn't about how difficult it is. It's a decision. Make the decision, make the commitment. Start with the words. There's a book by John Roger and Dr. Paul Kay, our president of the Movement of Spiritual Inner Awareness. It's called Momentum, Letting Love Lead. I think there might be a copy of it over there if you want to look at it later, those of you that are here. But there's a part of it that I'm going to share with you that if you just get this part, it's, for me, the essence of the book. I love this, whatever this is. So if you want to say you, or just take it out. You all, I love y'all. Take it out as far as you want, so that just saying those words is magic. All right, those are the keys. I'm just checking some of my notes here to make sure I've shared everything perfectly with you tonight, which would be my intention. All right, so Lee is going to share with you this exercise, so the keys for the exercise, how it's done, and also do a little demonstration of how it works. So Lee, come on up.
So the first thing we're going to do, this exercise is two people, so you'll be choosing a partner, and that would be including where you are at home. And so let's take the first step and quietly choose a partner, get yourself in position, and then I'll guide you from there.
And if you want to partner with yourself, it will still work. We have a way for that.
So if you want to just put your chair opposite somebody, that's fine. Just move yourself, quietly choose a partner. And if you don't get a partner, raise your hand. Look around you and just see if there's someone. There you go.
So those of you, wherever you are online, you have permission to move things around, rearrange the furniture, and things like that.
Does everybody have a partner? Raise your hand if you don't.
Okay.
And if we could come into quiet. So there's going to be a partner A and a partner B. And partner A will begin by reading the questions to partner B. The one who is answering, partner B, will have 15 minutes to answer all of the questions. So be mindful without being stressed about 15 minutes, because we're going to have a gong. And Roger, would you give us the gong for starting? And it will be the same gong that lets you know that 15 minutes have been completed, and at that time you change partners. And the one partner...
Change roles, not
change
partner.
roles. You don't change seats, just change roles. There you go. So, would you give us the gong? Hey, there we go.
You should see the gong. It's just
It's gigantic.
It's amazing. I brought it over from
It's really like the Wizard of Oz,
the
because
mountains of
the
Himalayas.
wizard's over there. All right. And what we'll do is, and then after we demonstrate the exercise, if you have any questions, I'm going to ask you, and please ask. So, would you be a willing participant?
I'm always a willing participant in love. Right?
Well,
love
there you
is
go.
Just the thing I want to do. Yes.
Good. So, may I ask you the questions? You don't have to ask that of your partner. I'm just asking him.
Please.
Okay, there we go. So, the first thing when you start is you ask for the light, the highest light, to surround you, fill you, protect us, and assist you for the highest good. So that's done. What area of your life or with whom do you find it challenging to be loving?
The house we live in.
There you go. And what judgment or expectations do you have concerning this situation or person?
Why do we have to move?
Gosh, you sound like me. What judgment or expectation do you have of yourself concerning this situation or person?
There must have been something I did wrong, and now this is payback.
Oh. Forgive yourself for any judgments you may have had or made. Use the words, I forgive myself for judging.
I forgive myself for judging that there's something wrong about the landlord asking us or telling us that he's going to put the house up for sale this month, and that we have to move.
So now look at the list of keys and choose as many as applicable that could apply to the situation or person that could move you into the loving.
So this is an opportunity for me to choose one or more of these keys?
One or more.
Okay. Loving it all. Enough love will handle all things, including whatever the moving or whatever process is coming forward with our house.
Very good. The next question is, how can you apply this key or keys with yourself to the situation or person to assist you to move into loving?
I can trust that what's going on is actually part of a divine plan. It's actually for the highest good, because I pray a lot that everything in my life is brought into the highest good. So if I'm trusting, if I have faith that my prayers are being answered, then this is part of going more towards the highest good.
Remember, you don't have to make any radical changes in order to begin taking conscious direction for your life. Take a moment now to go inside and stand back from your life and see it in a larger context. Bring your awareness to your breathing in and your breathing out. Imagine yourself using these keys in your life. What would you say or do differently?
I'd be more relaxed, be more at ease, I'd be in more cooperation. I'd also let my mind also relax more, so I'm not attempting to cross the bridge, move out of the house before that's actually taking place.
What are you experiencing?
I'm experiencing more ease, more sense of calm.
Is there a next step you can take?
I can focus more on enjoying the house as it is, and then look forward to finding an equal or better house.
So close your eyes and take a moment to thank yourself and nurture yourself with loving care for taking the time to do this work. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So that's an example. And then when that's complete, hopefully you'll be, if you hear the gong, then just consider that you've completed it. But be mindful that there's a gong in 15 minutes. Then the other partner gets their turn. And are there any questions?
Well, there's one other part of this. We've planned it so that there's likely going to be the opportunity to do this more than once for each partner. So rather than go back and forth, then Lee would begin at the top and start it over. And I might find that the situation with the house comes forward, or I might find something else comes to mind. So you may work with the same thing and go deeper. Look for other keys. Perhaps if I did it this time, I'd use a different key to see how that key led me, to the process. And then when the gong comes up, then we'll also take a moment to adjust in preparing you for the next part of the exercise.
Okay, ready?
Any other questions? Okay.
All right. So the person who is asking, call yourselves both in the light, and we can have a gong to begin. change roles, and the one who was answering the questions will now be asking the questions. And remember, the one asking the questions, as you begin, call both of you forward into the light, surround, fill, protect, and be with you. Here we go. we can bring that to a close. And we're going to have the blessing of John coming up and doing some Q&A with us. But before he comes up, I just wanted to read one of his quotes, actually. You know, there's a tendency, because of our human nature, to want to possess love or grab a hold of it, something like that. Run off and elope or something like that. So there's sometimes a reaction to love when it's really something that's not even personal, because it's the kind of love that happens to everyone. So even though when it happens to us, we feel very special, like, I'm in love. And it's like, well, you are, but it's not really a personal love. It's love of the Christ. And it's in our midst, and we're all lovers. John?
Yes, and if you want to take a moment with your partners to exchange loving, greeting, and thankfulness, please do. There you go. Okay, I'm going to have a seat. And did anybody experience deeper loving while you're doing that process? Okay, there we go. We have some. Let's just consider that the opportunity is still present. If you'd like to move yourself along in your own decision, your own dedication, your commitment, to breathe in the love that's in the air and to breathe it out so that it's more in the room, because you're letting love come through your breath and from behind your eyes and in your voice, in a smile, all those ways. So one of the opportunities we have is if there's something that you want to share that happened for you as an experience, we'll create an opportunity for that. And sometimes there's also a kind of a quest or a question, like there's something in you as an awareness that the loving may be blocked or restricted, or there's a fear or a doubt. There's something that has happened in your life and it may be unconscious. So if that's something you'd like to share about, then I'll do what I can to assist you and support you, and also allow that spirit of love that's in all of us to come more present here, so that the loving consciousness that we're releasing and expressing more and more invites love to come more and more into us, so that we have a more direct, powerful experience of the loving that's present always in all ways, and also the opportunity to freely experience and express that loving for everyone. So if you are interested in sharing, we're going to have you raise your hand. Then if I see your hand, that gives me an opportunity to call upon you. And then we'll bring you a microphone so that you can be heard by everyone, especially those who are online with us. Oh, look at that, the camera person. I'm going to call on the camera person. How often does that happen, huh?
I didn't know if I was allowed to raise my hand.
Yes, you are. So start out with your name, please.
My name is Eve, and I did some of that exercise with myself just now, but I was super, super uncomfortable because I'm aware of having a lot of judgment about myself as a camera person. I've never actually done this before, and I've made a bunch of mistakes, which you guys can't see because you're not watching this on a monitor, but I'm aware of like the part
the
of
ones watching may appreciate what you just said.
me. Maybe now that hi everybody, now you know. I'm aware of this part of me that really is like perfectionistic and also feels like if I'm not going to do something just right, I don't want to do it at all because I feel really uncomfortable and really sort of embarrassed about myself. And I recognize that holds me back in so many ways, that, you know, even though I'm doing something, I'm being of service, and I'm doing something that I've never done before, and like taking that risk, and then this part of me is just like constantly won't give myself a break while I'm doing it because of.
Do you recall what key you worked with while you were doing the exercise?
Yeah, I worked with a couple of them. One of them was loving service. And when I got to the part about the conflict and stupidity, I could see that in myself, the conflict that I had, and then the part of me that wants to reach out and help anyway and is willing to love myself in that.
I'd be willing to bet, and who knows, maybe we'll have some of those who are watching express their loving appreciation that whatever you did still allowed them to be part of what we're doing tonight, and there's an appreciation for that. That sometimes we imagine a disturbance much more than it is. Have you ever experienced that? Mm-hmm. Then when you finally check in with somebody, they say, no, it's not a bother at all. And then we've been having this tremendous disturbance over what other people think or what we imagine is a disturbance for them. And then when we have the opportunity or the courage to check it out, we find out we've been having a negative fantasy about something. Well, there's another key that came to mind while you were sharing. It's loving it all. And the second part of that is enough love will handle all things.
That was the other one that I worked with when I did this process with myself.
And it's important that if we're going to trust that, if we're going to make a decision that these keys actually do work, is it okay if part of what is needed is our patience? To allow it to go through a gradual process. And so at times it's like, hang in there. Stay with the loving. Hold with the loving. Breathe with the loving, because I can see it's going on right now. So why don't you, how about you share your experience about what you're experiencing right now?
Well, I have I have tingling in my knees right now. I'm aware that my mouth is kind of dry. I've got some energy in my hands.
Do you view that as positive?
I don't view it as anything at the moment.
It's awareness.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. And we can also, with our intention for loving, infuse the awareness with loving.
Part of that key that I was working with about loving it all, and it said, there was something in there about like whether you think it's positive or negative, or I might be imagining this, but that notion of like that I've decided that this is a negative experience that I'm having, and that I don't actually know what
and
it
regardless
is.
of whether it's negative or positive, we can still love it.
Right.
And being aware that it's present with you even inside the body. So inside your skin is the presence of loving. And the way I know that works all the time, every time, is by being aware of the breathing. And so we'll do an exercise. This is something we can all do together, as you like. But when you breathe in, consider that you're breathing into loving. And when you breathe out, you're breathing from loving. And it may seem as though it's kind of an empty, indescribable place where the breath goes in. Like, where does that breath go? It's difficult to discern that. Like, is it going in the right lung, the left lung, and this part? 3 inches inside the chest. See, that's not so important, is it, to geographically or anatomically locate it? It's more important, like, take it in, like, all the way. And it doesn't have to be a profound breath, but it could be a full breath and then fully breathe out. And that we could, infuse what John Roger was sharing with us earlier. This is love. And so with your free hand, just touch the center of your chest and have that sense that you're touching your heart, you're touching the spiritual heart. And so when you breathe, you're breathing also into the touch so that your hand is being more infused with this loving energy. So now what are you experiencing?
Something kind of came into the back of my head down here, and then it just like lit up my face.
Yeah, so your face is illuminated. And imagine you're seeing that in a mirror, like your creative imagination has the ability to look at your face right now and it's glowing. And it has a beautiful light upon it. And then what you see on your face is a face with love, a face expressing loving. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, and would you mind staying on the camera?
Yeah, I will. I'll get right back to
In
that.
case I move or something like that. Or
Hey, John.
Yes.
We had at least 4 people say thank you and appreciation for the camera work.
So we've had 4 people,
Just that I could see here online.
express their loving for Eve, our camera person. Anybody else have a sharing here? We'll go over here. Yes?
Hi, my name is Bryce. It's really good to see you again so soon, John. One of the things that I worked with in this exercise, I actually wrote you about it yesterday too, is finding a job. And I've had a lot of judgment and expectation come up about that. And I've also had a lot of lessons show up, especially in my relationship with my beloved Andy. And
So let's consider where you are. Are you jobless or something like that?
that would be accurate.
Or out of work? I guess that's
Yes.
another way of saying
Yeah.
it. So can you love yourself jobless or out of work?
Yes. Yes, I
See,
can.
there's the key, and I asked it in a form of a decision. So maybe that was a setup on my part. But do you notice a difference when you affirmed that you can love yourself?
Yeah, I'm standing up straighter. I feel
Okay.
much more connected.
All right. And my experience of that is loving is like that. So be aware that you're in need of loving whenever that occurs, and then make the adjustment. And so we're touching on keys tonight, but the key is your decision to love, your awareness that you can love, that loving is always present with you, regardless of situation or circumstance. So when you're jobless or homeless or any of these things that any of us could come up with that would be difficult to experience loving, then our awareness says, well, I can love this. I love this. Remember that from earlier, from what I told you about the momentum book, letting love lead, is being willing to express, I love this. Even if that sounds like a ridiculous statement. I do not love this. Why would I be loving being out of a job and I'm not making money? Just go ahead and say it anyway. And let yourself have a loving experience regardless of, even if you're in disagreement with yourself. Well, I don't want to love this because that maybe I'm going to encourage myself to continue to be out of work and have less and less money, and then I won't have money, and then I'll be moneyless. And well, right now, just make a decision to love yourself where you stand. And what's your experience of yourself right now?
I'm me. And I love being me, regardless of what I'm going through. Because I'd rather be me and love me than anything else, I guess.
Does it make sense that you are loving? That's your true beingness?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my job.
And let's consider that we don't really have the ability to stop our loving nature. What we have the ability to do is kind of forget about it. Well, we can change that. We can remember our loving. And so that's part of the process, that we remember that we're a loving being. That's who we are. That's how we would describe ourselves. I am a loving being. And I'm bringing my love more present in my awareness. I'm bringing my love wherever you want to take it, inside. So a key is loving yourself and filling yourself up so it becomes something that's pouring out. Do you drive a car?
I do. Yes.
Do you love your car?
Yeah, she's a nice car.
I didn't quite hear that.
I do love my car. She really
Okay.
gets the job done.
So then we have loving going to the car. And maybe everybody else can do that right now. Just as a silly exercise. Like, that's a silly exercise. Like, take time to love my car. Yes. Like, bring it to mind, wherever it is. It's like, well, it's not my car. I have to share it. It's like, bring it to mind, share whatever it is. And then just take a moment to extend the loving to anything that comes to your mind. And consider that your mind is open to show you what needs greater loving. So this can be a key, that you become a source of loving, so whatever comes to you, you love it, you embrace it in loving. As a first act, we will begin in loving. And from that we may find there's a way to contribute to what is the loving expression or the loving action. So how could I love myself while I'm looking for my next employment? And these are the kind of things that will assist us in finding what we need. Does it make sense? It doesn't work to do something less than loving while we're working out whatever are the challenges in our life. Like changing to, I don't love myself, I don't like myself. Does that really help? I haven't experienced it helps. I have experienced that coming into a loving place, a neutral consciousness, it's okay, and extending the loving as a trust. We'll get through this, we'll find a way. And often what's going on is there's something else being brought forward in the moment that needs our loving. Have you found that while you're unemployed, there are things you're attending to that when you were employed, you weren't able to attend to?
Yes, definitely.
Anything you want to share with us about that?
Oh, my email inbox is at 0 right now.
So you've been loving your email inbox.
I have.
And maybe people have been loving your email outbox because they're finally hearing from you. So did you see the blessing in that?
Oh, it's huge, yeah.
Okay. And so maybe there was something in there where you were asking for, requesting to attend more to your email life. I know what that is. Anything else?
I love you, John. Thank you.
Love right back. Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else would like to share? Okay, we'll go over here.
Hi, my name is Steed, and I hit gold, I think, in this exercise. And I just wanted to stand up in that. And that is that underneath some of my problems, and then underneath kind of a perfectionism and an unwillingness, a not wanting to do things until I felt I was really, really sure about them, that I was going to do it right. What I hit was my belief that I would cause harm. So I really just wanted to stand in the blessing of letting that go and allow the new, the loving to come into this place. And the gift that helped me with it was to, see, I can't even think of it right now. It's about the oneness, to remember that my oneness with everyone, because I kept myself very separate through this. And I just thank this evening and this opportunity to bring the loving here. I'm so grateful.
So let's consider that in some way all of us have been part of hurting. Even if you'd say, well, it's only been me that's been hurt. I haven't done anything to hurt anybody. I don't think that's accurate, but nonetheless, it's whatever it is. So if we've been hurt or we've hurt, if we've been harmed or harmed someone, that this is a place that needs loving. This is a consciousness that needs loving. And the awareness of it is in your favor. It's your own consciousness calling for greater love. And so I hear you giving thanks for that opportunity, and then inviting us by the sharing to extend loving to the place that hurts. And that could be with anyone. And in our way of looking at this, I find, well, could you hurt a plant? Sure. What is it, the Jains, amongst others, but that idea that in our spirit, the natural intention would be to stay clear of harm. But if we were really considering that in some way we're taking, that there are things that are being given to us or sacrificed for us in such a way as we're partaking in those things in our life, and that we can love that part of it, love what we receive, and that if we're giving, then we would love what that is. And if in some way it's been done in a form that was not true to our heart, let's call that hurt, as a way of looking at it, that's the way I would know I've done something that is not of my heart, that it hurts. And I've shared this many times, that I look at pain, at hurt, and suffering as a call to love, as a message that we need love here. So the hurt is speaking out, and often it comes out in rage, in anger, in protest. That what's behind that? I'm hurt, or you hurt what I love. And so it's a call to greater loving, not just for the one, but for whoever is hearing that call. And when we bring it in, then there's something that happens. There's a word for it. Then when we put love to the place that hurts, or where there's been harm. Anybody got the word? What is that? Healing. I heard several voices say it unanimously. So it's healing. And what does healing mean? It means it's restored, it's returned, it's renewed, it's revitalized. And what is that? It's like loving returns. That's been my experience. And even if there's still a kind of a scar that says, well, that happened, that we can love that. We can love what is there as a sign, that something happened that we wouldn't want to do again. So that we can look at these reminders of things that we call a loss. There's many words that would describe it, but let's stay with it. That, okay, there was a loss, but let's restore that. And even if it's like, well, you can't change what happened, but we can restore it so that the love is renewed with what we would want it to become. So we return to the loving, that you return it to yourself, that's always really important, that if you're going to be a source of loving in your life, and it's been expressed this way, that everybody needs to love and to be loved. Does that make sense? That I don't know how to define what we need more clearly than that. We need to give it. We need to give the loving so it comes out, and we need to receive it. Partially, there's some part of us that's going to stand up for that. I know you're holding back your loving. And I bet we have some who say, oh yeah, I've expressed that. I want more of your loving. And also that people have expressed that to us. I want more of your loving. And this is a key, that it's in some way something we all need to be aware of. Like, where is the loving in our consciousness, and how could we increase that loving? Anything else?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
God bless you. Anybody else have something you'd like to share? Or here we go, right up here.
I'm Nancy Sue, and I always like to take the opportunity to share with you. One thing we talked about in this process, it feels like such a core issue for me, and it's around relationships, with a partner, and how when I seem to be able to attract a relationship, but then when I'm in it, I'm always like, but this really isn't the one, or I go through all this stuff of how can I block loving successfully here, and how can I push this person away so that they'll break up with me and it'll be easier than I have to break up with them. So it's like, this is the story that I tell myself. And but the bigger piece...
Is that a story you like to tell yourself?
It's comfortable. It's comfortable. And I've been...
Is there a better story you would like to tell
yourself? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. And then
so.
The other part of that is the deeper part of that is I feel like I have to I get very heady about oh, maybe this isn't the right one, so I better make that decision, because if I don't...
Do you mind if I cut to the chase?
Yeah.
What's the fear about?
That I'm alone in this. God is not on my side. If I don't figure this out, then I've fucked up, and I excuse my French. But if I don't figure this out and make the right choice, then I've missed out somehow. And it's the bigger being alone somehow.
Well, often we find something very similar at the core of our disturbance. So wherever we're disturbed, so consider that whatever it's about, whoever it's about, it's not anything external. It's our own disturbance. And when we go at it, we're going to see that I'm missing out on the loving. And the greatest love I know is this thing called God. And even if you say, I don't have any idea what that is, just allow for it to be, well, whatever created who I am and what everything is, and to consider that its essence is this loving, this presence that's beautiful. So it's a beautiful experience of yourself and everything else. And when you're not in that consciousness, it is disturbing. And it can be the kind of thing that repeats itself over and over, so that the opportunity for you is to come to the core issue, and that I'm afraid that God doesn't love me, or that I can't be lovable
if I don't make the right choice.
If I don't make the right choice. And there's an opportunity that we all have at all times, and it's been expressed previously, love the one you're with, and that's not just in a song, but it is in a song. It's love the one next to you, and that's scriptural. Love your neighbor. And it's like, what does that mean? It means we have to begin where we are. And this idea that we build an entrapment or something like, well, what if my true love is somewhere else, but I'm loving the untrue love, or whatever we would call that one.
Right.
There's something about that that's faulty. That we really do need to love the one we're with, and in some way, if we're meant to go beyond or with another, that in some way that's a loving process, that it will be a loving process. It doesn't have to be a breaking process, a dysfunctional process, hurting, disturbing process. It doesn't have to be that. So that if you have the courage and the honesty in yourself that loving would express, so that one of the signs of loving is it has honesty. If you're around a child, you're going to find this, because they have it, like it's just going to come out. And when we lose that, when we start self-censoring, which is one of the conditions that we're invited to do in this world often, but remember that we don't have to. But our natural way is to just say it. And sometimes what the sign is well, what I'm saying is I'm missing the love. I'm hurt because I'm missing the love, and often children express that. That if we were really looking at what is this child expressing, they're saying, I'm missing the loving. And maybe it's like, I want my ice cream, I love my ice cream, and I want it now, and you're not going to keep it from me. And that's the way the loving comes out. So the opportunity I see here is to reunite with your loving, and the love that is divine in nature. This is the God love in you, that you are adored. And so one of the opportunities we all have is to claim that I'm loved by God, and to say those words and work on it, and whatever comes up that would protest. What's the move when something protests? What do we do about that in the loving consciousness? We love it. So even if you have the enemy within, you love that. The one that judges you and castigates you and condemns you, if they're inside. There's people like psychologists and psychiatrists and counselors that make their living on helping people move through this. Mm-hmm. Like get to the loving of whatever it is inside of you that's representing unloving. And this is transformative, so it makes you into a lovable being because you're able. You're able to love. And then you're lovable. And it's like, then one of the problems is like, what do I do with all these offers? Because everybody is it's like I'm a light, and here comes all the moths. But this is not something to be afraid of. It's just it's a good problem. Like working out, like what do I do with all these opportunities to love? Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. So,
and I know it may not be in your history, but I'm loving your history as an opportunity to turn, to change.
and one way is to just love who I'm with and be honest and see where that goes. Is that
Yes.
So I'm hearing
So we can deal with a difficult awareness through loving. We can express it with loving. And even if somebody is upset, we can love that upset. Not as a perpetrating of the upset, but to embrace it. So it's at some point somebody's having their upset, but you're comforting. I mean, sometimes that's what we need. We just need somebody holding while we go through our upset, loving us while we have our upset or we do our protest. So even if you have a rebel inside, whatever you would describe it as, somebody that hates or wants to tear it all down, or loving is the key, that we need to find a way to love and transform that consciousness. It's a good idea to do it with people that are willing to love you as you go through that. And it's fine with me if they're professionals, like in other words, they're licensed or they have a degree in loving. It'd be nice if we had more universities that were teaching loving. We do have them. I mean, there is one, University of Santa Monica, happens to be John Rogers University, and I'm not saying there aren't other places in the world. I know there are. Just a place like this, the Center for Spiritual Living, I think. Do I have that right? There are people that understand we need to be involved and hold and focus in the loving. And it begins with you, with your own inner consciousness, that this is you not loving yourself, that then replicates itself in these relationships that often become, you're attracting people that are dealing with a similar issue, so that it matches up, this thing called karma. It's like a magnetic thing. It attracts what actually is needed. And at some point you realize, I don't need this disturbance and upset and this pattern where I then don't trust myself, that I believe I'm not lovable. And so I break it off before it gets too powerful, or there's a fear there. Like it's going to become something where I won't be able to handle the hurt. That if I really found my true love, my story goes, they'll abandon me, or they'll find something faulty with me, and my true love wouldn't love me. See, that's crazy. You understand? Your true love loves you always and all ways. That's your true love. And even when they forget and they don't act like it.
I'm aware that I haven't given anybody the opportunity. That's part of it.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Like that's often one of the things I hear from people, is like when someone gets close and then my loving's starting to come out, I just do all kinds of things to sabotage it. That I blow up the bridge and so they can't get to me. It's like the thing you prayed for, you took it down, and there's something to this. Like, well, if you really loved me, you'd put up with the worst of me. You see how crazy that is?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just testing you to see if you love, so I keep doing things that are unlovable to see if you really love me. That's a form of insanity, by the way. But it's temporary. That's the good news. It's not true about you, so just stop it. That's here tonight. We can stop that. We can just say, I don't have to do that. And it is a courageous decision. It's to confront whatever would say you're not lovable or you don't deserve loving. That you're willing to have that out and face that and work that out. And I understand when you've been doing this as a pattern, and it's a very habitual thing, and it's chronic, and you were born in the family that does it as a pattern. And it's like, what does this family do? It shows how to be unlovable and disturbed and in conflict with one another. It's like, what kind of family is that? A family that needs a lot of loving. And somebody needs to stand up and say, hey, everybody, I'm going to start the loving. It's starting here. And so there's a revolution going on to do the loving. And sometimes it's important that you do things to support yourself in the loving. So that you're using your common sense. Like, don't try to be with the meanest, orneriest person in your first day of changing your pattern to loving. It's like, don't worry, they're around. So be with people that are easy to love and love you with ease. That's a good place to start. And of course, you can do it with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's a key here. And I know, with this kind of pattern, the doubt comes in like, oh yeah, right then I could feel the loving for 3 minutes. And then as soon as the workshop's over, and then I'm back into my pattern, and it's going to haunt me and attack me all over again. Except that's not true. That's a false self that just keeps running its pattern. Now there's something else that we can do, and it's something on the order of you get down on your knees and you pray to God. And if you haven't done that in a while, I mean with all your heart, with all your might, like more powerfully than ever before. Wherever you have to go to do that. Now, my point of view, you don't have to go anywhere. And the more you can realize, I'll do it right here, I'll do it in Times Square on New Year's Eve. And probably no one would even pay attention because they're all focused on the ball coming down or something. So it's often like this drama. I thought, that's another thing. We tell ourselves these negative fantasies. And all we really need to do is just call forward the love that it's inside you right now. And, we teach it. So the focus with what we're doing is squarely on the loving. And it's like, that's our focus. It's also to be true to ourselves, that our true nature is loving. That's who we are. And so it's okay that it takes us a while to move through it. But it's also important to make a move, that you're changing your life tonight. Not because I said so, because you say so. Do you understand that? No. That's okay. But that's your honesty. Like right now you don't have that trust. But do you hear my trust?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think what it is my brain goes, well, what is that going to look like? What does that mean?
It looks like something like this. See, it looks like that. So my loving is getting a hold of your loving. Can you feel that right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I got a hold of your hand. So just think, if I can get a hold of your hand, I can get a hold of your loving. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you go, but you're just going to be like all the rest, You hold my hand, and then you use me, and then
No,
when you're
actually,
done.
just so you know, it's never that. The guys are always like totally, like they're there and they love me, and I'm like, why? It's more that.
Okay. Well, let's just consider this is an eternal moment.
Okay.
So we take something like we put it on whatever this goes, into that land, the big cloud somewhere. But it's recorded like this is, get this image that loving is reaching to you, and I feel your loving. I'm reaching to your loving. So if I can do this, you can do this. And when we do something like this, it's still in contact. Now my life is dedicated to loving because I just find it's just the one and only way to go. And it covers all this other ground, like blessings and health and wealth and happiness. The key is always in loving. And does that mean that I'm always 100% overflowing and loving in my experience? No. But it gives me something to work on. So I teach what I need to learn, and I come to places like this, and you go, you do this over and over. I do. So I get it right, and I get it more and more, so that ignition thing, it catches. So I don't have to ignite it because it's on, it's running. And when it stops, it's like, well, put in some gas or change your spark plugs. You get the metaphor? Like, get it going again. Do something. So tonight, making a choice like this, well, what does love in the air mean? I don't know. Maybe somebody will be there and you showed up. But there's something going on here called loving is being exercised. And we're moving more into the experience. And my trust is that there's a seed being planted in here right now. It's not a John Morton seed, it's a Christ seed. It's a beloved seed that's getting in there. And it's the kind of thing that can break loose, whatever it is, no matter when it happened. So if we're talking about, it happened in one of those caves when, the Stone Age, it's like that's when it really started. And ever since, when I got clubbed by the guy I thought I could trust, and then I wake up the next morning, my hair's hurting, because he dragged me by the hair. It's like, okay, well, heal that. We're putting loving in the place that hurts. And I know, I can't speak it, in a way that's like, well, that's it. It's in what you said, but I can call it forward in all these different ways. You need to do it for yourself. Mm-hmm. That's for everybody. But then being here in a place like this is smart. But remember, when we go from here, take the loving with you, that it's on, and have a dedication that you're going to love more this day, and tomorrow you're going to love more than you did this day. Now, for me, that's a fun challenge. Like, we don't get to sit on our laurels or whatever that is. We have to keep going to a greater loving. But this world's in need of it. This is a world that really needs love. I remember hearing that song when I was about that high. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. And that hasn't changed in my life, but I got the call. Like, do something about the loving that the world needs. So it begins with you. And when you get it then we're going to make this more of a loving world. I certainly like it. Do you have children? Do you know any children you love?
150 that I send back every summer.
Okay. All right. So you spend time with kids?
I do.
Yeah. Do you love doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you have a love for children. So do I. Well, let's think of that in some way, let's do something so that the world that the children are coming into is a more loving world. Why? Because we did something about it. I know it may not seem like that because of the way our attention gets worked by this thing called the media. But when I go around, my experience is there's more loving, and where it isn't loving, it's being uprooted. That's how I see the world. And maybe people say, well, you're just in a Pollyanna, deluded kind of consciousness. But I'm being honest. And I travel a great deal of the world. And my experience is there's more loving, there's more kindness, there's more caring. And the people that are wanting to get to it, they're starting to squawk and talk and get attention. And so that's what's going on. Loving's coming to the darkness and to the places where it's really needed. What is it called? What was the spring in the, that was with all this movement across North Africa with all those countries?
Spring.
Arab Spring. Not that we're choosing one culture over another, but let's consider that something's going on that's about greater loving in the world. Now, we don't get to see that part of it often. We see the worst of it. But if we just look in the intention of it, and the intention in our own conflict, our own disturbance, our own depression, I want more loving, and I want to love more. Anything else I can do for you?
Probably.
I'm around. I'm reachable.
Thank you.
Anything more you can do for yourself, that's more the point,
there's
isn't it?
a lot more I could do for myself. Well, I am
Okay.
going to be at USM at the end of the month for their graduate workshop. So
That's
I'm very
a wise
grateful.
choice.
Yeah.
And what's that workshop focused on?
Going to the deeper levels. It's for graduates who've done the program.
Deeper levels of what?
That's all I remember them saying, and I just went, I gotta go. I gotta be
All right.
there. basically it looked like it was these kinds of issues, like the issue that won't stop getting you, like nagging at you. I'm like, yeah, I'm all about clearing those. It sounds good to me, so.
Well, let's consider it's a call to your greater loving, because I'm part of that work too. All right, God bless you.
Thank you so much. God bless you too.
Okay, so I'm content with what I came here to do, even though there's more to go from where this is, but I'm going to bring up Lee, who's going to conclude our evening for us. I'll stand here while you do that. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much. This was a beautiful evening. And thank all of you for choosing to be here with us in Greater Loving. I was just going to read a beautiful from this book that John has shared. It really is exquisite, and it's very small, but wow. And I wanted to share something from John Rogers' words for all of us to you. Let your love be your guiding star. Let it be in your breath. Then you live in the heart of God. All things are made new, and God is personally present all the time. When you express loving towards one another, this holds you more in the consciousness of grace. And in that consciousness of grace, all things are made new. Then each person resurrects to the consciousness of God and becomes the beloved and walks with the consciousness of the traveler right into the heart of hearts, right into God. Berush Beishan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steed, our beloved Steed. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's going to be some opportunities I'm sure Steve's going to share with you, especially locally, but in many ways what we're doing here locally in this community, we're doing around the world. So if you're interested in any of these kinds of things, check us out more fully. We're getting bigger and brighter all the time. So God bless you, I love you, and peace be still.
God bless you.
Thank you so much, John and Lee, and thank everyone who came here together to be in this energy. And for both those who are attending online and all of us sitting here, I think something that was mentioned several times throughout the evening is finding ways to stay in touch with this energy and being gentle and nurturing with ourselves and taking slow, steady steps. So I wanted to share with you, actually, for those of you who are new, you may be hearing about some of this for the first time, but I'm also reminded a lot lately of how, no matter how long we've been around, these teachings are always here for us. So I just want to share a few ways that you can keep touching into the energy, strengthening, continuing the work with yourself. And one thing is PTS classes. This was a Peace Theological Seminary class. There are lots of different formats. There are online classes, classes that run for several weeks. There are home study classes. And actually, in every area, there is a PTS representative. You can contact the MSIA or PTS office to find out who that is if you're not here in this room tonight. For those of you sitting here, I would like to introduce Marcia Winborn. Marcia, if you would please stand. She is our key for the evening. She is our MSIA representative, and if you have any questions about when are home seminars here in this area, what are other PTS classes, who is our PTS representative, and most importantly, how can you get on the local newsletter that lets you know all these things, please just see Marcia after we're complete, okay? So, page turn. All right, if you are new to MSI or PTS, we actually have a gift for you if you'd like to know more. It is a free book called Journey of a Soul. Beautiful book. You can get it online at www.msia.org. Hopefully you can remember that or jot that down. And then a little /new. All right, so if you'd like your gift, please go online and you can get that. They will send that to you. There are also lots of books, hundreds, maybe thousands at this point, of audio tapes, videotapes, whatever topic you're dealing with now. If you're dealing with relationships, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with loving more, you're dealing with health, there is something of these teachings to support you in that. We have a collection tonight. Feel free to go look at the table and go online again. There's just so much here for you. And there's just a little community announcement tonight. Actually, maybe I did it. I think we did it. Signing up for the newsletter if you want to stay in touch with Santa Fe. Otherwise, do we have evaluation forms, or we're not doing that? Okay. So I would just ask, I think John and Lee have left the room, okay? Due to the nature of how closely they work with our energy and all that gets released, got released in this room, we just always ask that despite the urge to hug them and love them up, that we not touch them. Just let them kind of clear and release everything that they've been working with. However, if they come up to you and want to hug you, you go for it, okay? Are there any questions before we close the evening? Thank you so much, everyone. I love you. God bless you. Peace be with you. And one of my favorite expressions, Berush Beishan, the blessings already are. Have a beautiful evening. Drink a little water before you go home. Make sure you're grounded. And that's it. Okay. Good night. Good night, everyone online.